their right ear is a lot more impacted with their dead keratin. And also we did quite a large keratin peel off the canal wall on the right side, so do stay tuned in for that. So I'm just using a standard Zollner suction probe here, and what I'm trying to do is detach and elevate this dead skin that's enveloping this plug of wax and keratin as well off the canal wall. So keratin, dead skin, acts as double-sided sticky tape. Not only does it adhere to the canal wall, but it's also adhered itself to the skin plug on the underneath, and it's almost enveloped itself around. And you can see the slither of skin that I've detached from the canal wall and also from the perimeter of the plug of keratin. Now that skin that I just removed, eventually, if I didn't remove it and this patient didn't have their ears clean, that skin that I just peeled off would kind of encompass and compart of this keratin plug, and then you'll get another layer of skin that sheds off the canal wall, and that then forms as part of the plug, and then so on and so on. And that's how this patient's keratin plug develops. So this skin that envelopes the ear canal, in most people it dies and it sheds sideways, it comes out of the ear like a conveyor belt, but in this patient it's not, and it's just amalgamating within the ear canal. So I've just reached out for the crocodile forceps here. These are the 5mm standard size forceps, just to get a bit of grip. And we've got to be careful, because sometimes with the forceps, if you don't get a good enough grip, the tip of the forceps, so the tip of the jaws, the pointed bit, will just push it further in. So I've just managed to get a little, you can see how much I just managed to grip onto there. It wasn't a lot. And just by having a little bit of grip, I managed to extract it. So just a bit of skin at the top. I'm going to get the top jaw. I'm going to glide it underneath the superior canal wall and just detach that skin off the roof of the ear canal. Patient's eardrum's nice and healthy, but got a lot of dead skin here, and they did report some itchiness and irritation. So I'm just using a fine end suction gauge here now, size 18 this is, and we're just going to perform a little skin peel. So we did remove quite a lot of skin actually off the canal here, but on the right side, as I mentioned, there's a lot more that we removed. The right ear is a bit more narrower as well than their left. So this skin, it's on the anterior canal wall. So the anterior canal wall means the front part of the ear canal, and it's quite lateral near the entrance. And some of you may be wondering why I'm using a lot of this terminology. It's just because we do have a lot of medical students, audiological students, our clear wax delegates that we train as well, who watch the videos, and it's good. I always try and not only use the medical term, but also then use the more generic layman term as well. So when I say anterior, I always then repeat it, what's the front part of the ear canal, so everyone can kind of understand and follow. And again, we're on the cartilaginous portion. I'm just using the fine end gauge, just rubbing it against the cartilage there. The cartilaginous portion is semi-sensitive, so we can put a bit of pressure. You can see this dead skin here at the base of the ear canal, and also posteriorly, so the back part. And we're going to be careful with clarinetting. So when you remove skin or suction skin, you're more prone to developing what we call clarinetting. Clarinetting is when the skin flaps violently at the tip of the suction probe, and that violent flapping emits a very high frequency squeal, and it can be deafening not only for the patient but also for the clinician themselves who's performing the procedure. You're far more likely to get clarinetting with a full-size Zollner suction probe. With a fine end gauge, you're less likely to, or if you do, it's a lot quieter. And I'm just suctioning some of these, just dead skin right near the entrance this is. And eventually, so this skin, you can see it's almost translucent. If the skin doesn't naturally migrate, it will die and it's shed. And then you'll have another layer of skin that coats in the ear canal, that will die and shed, and that will compact against the original skin, and eventually it forms a plug. Nice healthy eardrum, got a good light reflex there. So this is the patient's right ear. This ear is a bit more narrow, but again, a lot of dead keratin, so I just went in straight away with the forceps. I'm just trying to get a good grip. So I'm just using the endoscope to stretch the ear open, so I'm getting a better view now. I've just rotated the forceps 90 degrees on my hand, so the jaws are at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Typically with forceps you'd use it so the top jaw's more 12 o'clock, the bottom jaw's at 6. You can see how I've just rotated it, so I'm trying to get the jaws around the left and right hand side of the plug of keratin. So I'm widening the jaws as much as possible, and I can pinch, and you can see I've got a bit out there. But this plug extends quite deep in the ear, which is unbeknown to me at the moment because we can't see that far in the ear because the plug is near the entrance. Just using a hook, and I went in horizontal with it into the opening of the roof of the ear canal, then I twisted it clockwise 90 degrees to get the tip of the hook into the plug. You can see I slowly extracted it out. And we got this medial plug of dry skin. It's very dry, and it's all keratin as opposed to wax. And you get a feel of the difference between... Now, 60% of earwax is actually dead skin, but when you've got a higher composition of a plug that contains keratin, it's much more glossier, and that's how you differentiate between wax and just dead skin. Sometimes dead skin keratin can also be quite spongy. That's when you can form a keratosis obturans, so the skin plug can really expand within the ear canal and start deforming and widening the ear canal, the bony part, because the plug gets that big, and it widens that big, and it compresses against the canal. It has that much pressure where it can actually change the shape of the ear canal. So lovely healthy eardrum in the distance there. You can see all this dead skin. It's not going to come out by itself. We know that now because obviously we've just removed a significant amount of keratin from their ear. And because the patient's nice and still. Now, in terms of the hearing, me removing this dead keratin is not going to improve the hearing whatsoever, but it's more of a preventative measure. And I said they do get a bit of itchy, they report a bit of itchiness and irritation in the ear, and this dead skin can be the cause of that. If at any stage I felt as though I was causing discomfort to the patient whilst removing this keratin off the canal wall whilst we're peeling it, would have stopped immediately because, as I mentioned, they came in to hear better. We've alleviated them of their hearing loss. They can hear really, really well indeed, actually, upon leaving. But because the patient was nice and still, I wasn't getting any clarinating. I just continued. You can see how I'm just gently peeling away around the edge, around the perimeter. So at the bottom here, before that I was on the right-hand side of the ear canal, so the anterior part. We're on the bony part of the ear canal, so we're going to be really gentle. If we make contact with the bony part of the ear canal, it'll be quite uncomfortable for the patient. So unlike the cartilaginous portion, the outer third, the inner two-thirds, the bony part of the ear canal, you've got the thinnest layer of skin. It's less than 0.1 tenth of a mil, whereas the skin that lines the outer part of the ear canal is about 1 millimetre in thickness. And underneath this very thin layer of skin, it's the bone. There's no fatty tissue, no cartilage. It literally is the thinnest layer of skin tightly attached to the bone. And if you touch the bone, it will be